Hi, here on Video Uber, everyone that makes content is their own small business. When we try to do things in the share economy, well, we don't exactly set the rules. So the only way we can change things is to work together. The problem is small businesses have not been as effective as labor workers in order to get change going for the normal people. And that's for one very important reason. Small businesses are used as a shield. So whenever any kind of policy or legislation comes out that would negatively affect large businesses, but not really negatively because they're so large and massive and their CEOs and executives make so much more than the ground level employees that it is a gap of millions of dollars that the company could spend in better places, millions of dollars that the workers for that corporation create and then is stolen from, that raising taxes on that company, making that company pay its workers higher wages, does not negatively affect the company or the workers. And if it does, it's because those workers don't have enough power. But nobody feels bad for Walmart. No one feels bad for IBM or Microsoft or Apple when they have to pay their employees more money because they make so much money. So instead what they do is they depend on the crying, shrill voices of small business owners to defend themselves. Small business owners that are just as easily bought out, undercut, sold out, or legislated against in order to leave an area as they are used as a flippant shield to stop conversation on whether or not we can pay people more, on whether or not people should live in poverty all the time. So to be clear, for the trolls that probably definitely won't watch the video this long, I am not against small business. In fact, small is my preferable kind of business, and the form of that business is a co-op. And I do want the government, communities, cities, states to pass laws that will benefit small businesses. And co-ops, which they notably do not do and probably actively discriminate against because their method of work and operation is counter to the goal of a lot of capitalist businesses, which is make as much money as possible. Where a co-op, a business run by every single member of that business, their goal is cooperational. It's everyone to have a good life, everyone to benefit from the business, everyone to do something that they enjoy doing. This is not the mode of most private businesses. This is not the mode of the majority of our businesses. So when we talk about small businesses getting screwed over by laws, the people that get screwed over the most is the co-ops. Because the co-ops cannot casually sacrifice employees, labor, and guilt trip. Not that their system is any more, our system is more fair to privately owned small businesses. But we don't have a fair system either way for people. Some people might describe this as the economy picking the winners and losers. I describe this as people with the most money having the most power picking themselves to win every time. We have this middle ground, right? There's this person with this small business. They may not be rich, but also they're probably not poor, and they're able to at least gain enough capital to start a business, own a building, hire employees. But they have the obnoxiousness of being self-aware. Possibly they could have bought into our capitalist idea of the self-made person, of I built this, I deserve this, while ignoring how they are exploiting their employees. Unlike the co-op, which cannot exploit the employees because the decisions are made by the employees. So given this, you're an egoist, you've built your sub shop that pops up every summer in New York, you hire 6 people to come and run it, and you give yourself a handsome pay for doing it and running the business, and make sure to pay your employees minimum wage. And you get to do that every year because you're a pop-up business in the summer. I'm drawing from a specific person. Last time we were talking about raising the minimum wage, there was this shithead from New York City. Somehow I was subjected to this news article, and this specific man grumbling several times that is ingrained in my head. He runs this restaurant on the streets of New York City. He only runs it during the summer, so he has all new employees, and he always runs it off minimum wage, and he was complaining about a minimum wage hike, which would help the entirety of the people of America. It would raise the bottom of what is possible. It would raise our limit on poverty. At this point, you might not be sold, so let's keep going. But he's complaining that he barely has enough money to run, after paying himself and paying his employees almost nothing, right? Paying himself probably well more than minimum wage. He probably works hard. We can't deny people a living wage based off one fucking rube in New York City who wants to run a sandwich shop and screw over everyone who deigns to help him there. Brief aside for minimum wage, you can't just say someone should get another job if they don't like being paid minimum wage. Because someone has to have that minimum wage job. We have more unemployed than ever. The unemployed people are a resource that capitalists use to drive down wages. There is someone that has to work for that amount. And the only way we can make people's lives better is to make sure that amount is higher. Someone's gonna be there. Just because you get a better job doesn't mean someone else isn't still working the shit job at McDonald's. And they don't deserve it. Everyone deserves to live, you mother... And this person might have been telling the truth, but, he didn't give any proof. He didn't say what he pays himself. He didn't talk about the dearth of food vendors in New York City. That problem that we're all familiar with. People going hungry because no one's there to sell them a $10 hot dog. So this gentleman did not show any proof. He didn't say what he pays himself. He didn't show anyone any books that oh, this will make me teeter on. He also didn't listen to any kind of arguments about how maybe more things will be able to be sold if people have more money, and he didn't give a shit about the quality of life overall rising in our country. He gave a shit about the business that he felt entitled to because he owns it, even though he does not make the majority of the food. He does not serve the majority of the people and is not doing the majority of the work. Ownership is a grift. I'm not saying that everyone who runs a small business exists off exploiting other people, but shitty ones do. And our system overall supports that mode of operation. Our system is based off that mode of operation. One person grifting everyone who will listen to them. There isn't a lot that people can do when they're in that situation. When one person holds back their job and makes sure there's paid as little as possible, treated as awfully as possible, and is looking to get rid of them and get someone cheaper as soon as possible. There's less and less that can be done for that, but stuff can be done. And that is why unions exist. That's why unions formed. And that's why we have laws that support unions in America. Though they're being eroded away because the people with the most money have the most power, because money is tied to how much power you have. So people with the most power can change the rules to help people with the most power, like them. So slowly over the last 60 years, we've been rolling back, union laws and making it harder for unions to happen. And so our minimum wage has stagnated. Our workers' rights has been in the toilet for the last 40 years. There are people that I know from my real life that try to reference 1972 propaganda on not raising the minimum wage. Like when we first started this brain-rotting mess of lies about our economy and ignoring how it works. And collective bargaining is still possible with or without a union. If everyone in a store comes together and says they don't want to do this practice, they can talk to their manager. Or they can stick it to their manager until it stops making them do their practice. This could be something like the manager eats other people's food out of the fridge. Everyone can get together and stop that from happening. One of the classic ways to exercise your rights and power and start collectively bargaining is a walkout. You can withhold your labor at key times to hurt an industry. This is illustrated in Sorry to Bother You, when everybody stops working at a key 20-minute mark and they stand on their tables and they chant and they refuse to answer their phones and make phone calls and to sell stuff. This hurts the company's bottom line, and everyone does it collectively, so they can't fire everyone. Sometimes they can fire everyone, in which case those people are called Walmart and they are the worst. And a walkout does not have to be a strong display of power. It doesn't have to work. You don't have to get your goals right away. It could be team building, a way to show that everyone has solidarity with each other, a way to show that we have the same concerns and are willing to go to the same lengths. Now, I'm not saying that these practices wouldn't hurt a small business. They might. And that's okay. On principle, we can't sacrifice the needs of the many for the needs of the few. More people having a better quality of life is better than a few hot dog stands in New York City. Because getting more people more money means more small business, more people with capital and power to change their lives, to make a business, to exercise their political freedom, to buy a car. We do a lot of ignoring how fragile our lives are in this economy. And we don't because we don't like to think about it. We don't like to think about the rock bottom. But it's still there. The bottom of our economy has spikes and is people dying in the street. And we ignore it. And we don't want to make it better because it might inconvenience a few people that have a little bit. On principle, we can't ignore improving society because it might hurt some small businesses. We also can't stop improving society because it will hurt big businesses. If a business is too big to take some losses and pay its employees, and if we lose them it'll hurt our economy, that business is too big and should not exist. Not to mention, practically, small businesses are irrelevant. The improvement that would happen to society would cost big businesses a lot of money, but we use the excuse of small businesses to make it so the big businesses are shielded from paying their employees fairly. And this is dumb and short-sighted of us. And if we had any inkling of how our economy worked, which hopefully now you should, we would not allow it. So that's why there have been a lot of news stories about Bernie Sanders' campaign and negotiating for things and moving around for things, because Bernie Sanders' campaign is unionized. He has the only campaign that can negotiate for their fees and for their payments. Other campaigns might pay their employees more, but those employees don't have a say over it. It's only the union that's able to bargain for what they're paid, for what their benefits are. A lot of tech markets that are disrupting society is just the same thing that happened before. Amazon is just Walmart on the internet. Facebook is just MySpace on the internet. Wait, these are not revolutionary ideas. These are old ideas. Uber is taxis. We already have public transportation. We already have privately owned public transportation. We already ran through all the problems of privately owned public transportation. That's why we have regulations on taxis. That's why we have licenses for taxis. Taxis used to be just like Uber. It would be people, it would be their own cars, they'd charge whatever they want for a fare, and sometimes they'd break down, there'd be questionable quality, and sometimes dangerous murders happened. All of which have happened with Uber, which is just a taxi service. It's a taxi service with all of the expense and liability put to the employee. So not only are they not getting paid a fair wage, but also they have to put in a lot of money for having a car. And it doesn't matter if this is someone's side job or not. That's a lot of exploitation and bullshit. A few people get very rich off of, especially since our stock market is run by insane monkeys that overvalue shit that's shiny and will literally drive us to ruin and are destroying the world. In the spirit of not wanting to die, I, here on Video Uber, and other leftist content creators are performing a walkout, December 10th to December 13th, no views, no uploads. And I encourage you to join us in solidarity for this. So if it's the 10th right now, or 11th, or 12th, or 13th, just make this the last video you see. Go ahead and leave me a like. You can comment if you'd like, but please withhold from watching any more videos. Now, we don't expect this to hurt YouTube, and it doesn't have to. The goal isn't to hurt YouTube. The goal is to be active, to be a part of something. Tweet out YouTube Lockout, join that conversation. If it's after December 13th, take this with you. We can't get short-sighted when it comes to improving society. We can't protect small businesses just because it will hurt them, because it will hurt big businesses more. And furthermore, even if we did protect small businesses, the people with money and power can destroy small businesses without even thinking of it. In most chances, people have their small business because the people in big business with a lot of money and power don't notice them. It's Cthulhu. Your business runs as long as the big monster doesn't know that you're there. And the only way to change this, the only way to improve conditions, is to fight, is to go collectively. Talk with other business creators, talk with other YouTubers. The argument that this will hurt my small business or my family owns a small business and this will hurt them is meant to be a fact so untestable that it's supposed to stifle conversation. And these are bullshit as well. Similar facts are, my brother went to Afghanistan. I fought in Iraq. I'm proud of being military service. There already is a YouTube union. There already is a video game designers union. The bastards who say these things may be well-intentioned, but most of the time are bastards and do not talk about follow-up because their truth statement is supposed to end the conversation. Oh, there is a union. Well, I guess we'll stop fighting for our rights and pay now. And you can tell these bastards that. And you can tag me and well, you can. I won't see it. Privacy settings, bro. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe. I'm so sorry for everything. Leave a comment, subscribe, and like. And if it's December 10th through the 13th in 2019, stop watching videos, bro. Join us on Twitter or whatever. Like, man, like, geez. Thanks for watching this video. Solidarity? Let's improve society? And we're not gonna do it tomorrow. Oh, and don't let small businesses protect big businesses. By the way, I'm doing a vegan run on Minecraft, where I take a challenge not to use anything that exploits or kills an animal to be used. And then I'm gonna try to beat the game. So that cuts off a lot of big game items that you need for the late game in order to beat the dragon. Arrows, you can only get feathers by killing a chicken. Can't use arrows. Can't make arrows out of chickens. Can't make books because you have to kill a cow for the leather for a book. How am I gonna do it? Go see on my vegan challenge on Twitch. Going on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11 a.m. and then sometimes a bonus stream. Watch my Twitter for bonus streams, and I'll be doing that and writing during the YouTube walkout. See you there!